Imagine a mining town in 1963, Shepton, Pennsylvania. Three coal miners, Henry Throne, David Felon, and Louis Bova, go down for a normal shift. The tunnel collapses. Tons of rock trap them nearly 300 feet underground. For 2 weeks, the world watched rescue teams drill day and night. Throne and Felon somehow survived in a tiny pocket of air. Bova vanished. But that's not the weird part. Today we're heading somewhere that looks totally ordinary on the surface. Pennsylvania. But trust me, behind the quiet towns, the covered bridges, and the rolling green hills, there's a darker side. A side filled with strange physics, weird geology, ancient legends, and straight-up unsolved mysteries. If you think mystery lives only in the Bermuda Triangle or the pyramids of Egypt, think again. Because right here, in the heart of America's history belt, there are places scientists still can't explain. Some of them are natural, massive boulder fields that sing when you hit them. Others are man-made, roads that seem to bend gravity, or entire towns swallowed by underground fire. And then there are spots that blur the line between myth and science, where logic takes a back seat and the impossible feels almost normal. So buckle up, because in this 4-part journey we're going deep into Pennsylvania's 10 most mysterious places on Earth. Spots that have left researchers scratching their heads, locals spinning wild theories, and visitors walking away saying only one word: whoa. Let's start with the place that literally makes the ground sing. The Ringing Rocks Park. It's the field that plays its own music. It's about an hour north of Philadelphia. You park your car, walk a short forest trail, and suddenly the trees open to something you don't expect. A 7-acre sea of solid gray boulders, piled high like someone dumped a mountain here. It's called Ringing Rocks Park. And if you bring a hammer, yes, people actually do, you can tap these stones and they ring like metal bells. That's right, rocks that sing. Not everyone does, though, and that's part of the mystery. You can hit 10 of them and maybe 2 will chime. The others? Just dull thuds. People have been fascinated for more than a century. Early visitors thought maybe there was iron hidden inside, or that the rocks were hollow. A few even claimed the sound was supernatural, as if the earth itself was alive and humming. But scientists eventually found these are made of diabase, a super-dense volcanic rock formed millions of years ago. They discovered the rocks are under internal stress, like they've been stretched and frozen that way over time. When struck, that tension vibrates, creating the metallic ring. Pretty neat, right? Except there's a twist. Take one of those ringing rocks home and it stops ringing. The sound only happens when the stones sit together in that boulder field. Remove one and poof, no music. To this day, researchers can't perfectly explain why. Maybe it's the way the boulders touch each other, maybe it's the air gaps between them, or maybe something deeper is going on in the way the rock's tension balances. Even after lab tests and a famous Rutgers study back in the 1960s, scientists still admit the full cause isn't totally nailed down. So yeah, add one to our list of most mysterious places on Earth that science can't explain. And beyond the science, there's the vibe. The place is quiet, other than that metallic ping echoing through the woods. You hit a rock, it sings, and for a second, it feels like the whole field is answering back. It's bizarre, it's fun, and it's pure Pennsylvania magic. Number 2 is the Gravity Hill, where cars roll up the wrong way. Let's walk through west to Bedford County. Picture a narrow country road, just trees and farmland. Nothing spooky, until you stop your car, put it in neutral, and it starts rolling uphill. Welcome to Gravity Hill, near New Paris. If you've never heard of it, it's one of those viral come-see-it-for-yourself roadside oddities. People drive hundreds of miles to test it. They put a ball on the pavement or pour a bottle of water and watch both roll the wrong direction. Now, for years, folks said it had to be ghosts. There's an old legend that a school bus once crashed nearby, and the ghosts of the children now push cars uphill to protect others from the same fate. Spooky, sure. But is that really what's happening? Not quite. Scientists say this is actually a perfect optical illusion. The whole area around the hill tilts in such a way that the true horizon is hidden. What looks like uphill is actually a subtle downhill slope. Your brain gets fooled because trees, fences, and the distant ridgeline lean just enough to mess up depth perception. Surveyors brought proper leveling equipment out here and confirmed it. The road does slope downward by about 2 degrees. So science has the explanation, right? Well, sort of. Here's what makes it fun. When you're there, your body doesn't buy the science. You feel gravity pulling the wrong way. Your eyes see the car creeping uphill. Even when you know it's illusion, you still get that gut level something's not right reaction. And that's why Gravity Hill keeps its grip on people. It's not an optical trick on paper. It's a psychological experience. It reminds us that sometimes reality itself depends on where you're standing. For YouTube viewers, it's the perfect try this yourself challenge. Just remember, the hill isn't haunted. It's your brain that's haunted by perspective. Number 3 is the Devil's Road, the trees that lean away from evil. All right, let's turn down something darker, literally. Drive toward Chadds Ford, right on the Delaware border, and you'll find a narrow lane locals call Devil's Road. Its real name is Cossart Road, but around here, that name hardly matters. Everyone knows its reputation. The legend says the trees lining the road all bend away from it. Not randomly, like all of them seem to lean outward, as if they're scared of whatever travels the asphalt. Come here at night, and it feels like stepping into a horror movie. The branches hang low, headlights bounce off twisted trunks, and the whole scene screams, "Turn around." Some swear they've seen a glowing red house deep in the woods, rumored to belong to a secret cult, or even to the famous DuPont family who supposedly used the area for strange rituals. Reality check? The leaning trees probably got that way because utility crews trimmed them for power lines decades ago. But logic doesn't stop stories. Every generation adds a new rumor. A woman in white crossing the road, handprints on car windows, whispers from the dark. The fun part, even if you go in with total skepticism, the atmosphere gets you. The trees close in, the light fades, and your heartbeat starts syncing with the engine. It's one of those mysterious places science can't explain only because science can't measure fear. And that's kind of the point. Not every mystery hides in physics or geology. Some live in psychology. Devil's Road proves that sometimes the human brain is the most haunted landscape of all. Number 4 is the Centralia, the town that won't stop burning. You've probably seen drone shots of this one. Empty streets, broken sidewalks, smoke pouring from cracks in the ground. Welcome to Centralia, the ghost town that's been on fire since 1962. This used to be a normal coal mining community of about 400 people. Then one Memorial Day, locals burned trash in a pit near an old mine shaft, and the flames spread underground into the coal seam. What started as a small cleanup fire turned into an inferno that's been smoldering for 6 decades. Temperatures under the town reach over 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Roads collapse. Basements fill with carbon monoxide gas. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy fell into a sinkhole that suddenly opened beneath him. He survived, but the image haunted America. One by one, residents evacuated. Today, only a handful remain. Here's the wild part. Scientists do understand the chemistry. It's coal oxidizing underground. But they can't explain why this particular fire refuses to die. Others like it have burned out in a few years. Centralia's just keeps going. Some estimate another 100 years before it cools naturally. You walk there now and it feels post-apocalyptic. Graffiti covers the buckled highway. Locals renamed it Graffiti Highway. Steam rises from the cracks like breath from some sleeping beast. It's quiet except for wind and the occasional hiss from vents underground. It's easily one of the most mysterious places in the world, a modern ruin born from one careless spark. And it leaves you thinking, maybe nature doesn't need to be supernatural to scare us. Sometimes chemistry is creepy enough. Number 5 is the Blue Mist Road, the fog that glows. Retracing back toward Pittsburgh, down an old route locals call Blue Mist Road. Its real name is Irwin Road. It winds through North Park, and during the day it's just another back road. But at night, a blue-tinted fog creeps in, so thick and unreal that people swear it glows. Every city kid around here has a friend who saw the ghost bride, or heard the screams, or saw headlights that weren't there. The common thread? The mist. It rolls in heavy and shimmers faintly, like neon smoke. Cameras never quite capture it the same way your eyes do. Meteorologists say it's probably the sodium streetlights reflecting off normal fog droplets. But that doesn't explain why the glow appears even when the lights are off, or why it's blue. Science says, just scattering wavelengths. Locals say, nah, that's the ghosts. When you stand there with fog curling around your legs and the forest silent, it's hard not to believe them. It's not dangerous, it's not haunted, but it's weirdly peaceful, like the world pressing pause for a few minutes. If there's such a thing as a calm mystery, this is it. Now it's already halfway through the unknown so far. We've seen stones that sing, a hill that tricks gravity, a road that fears its own legend, a town that burns forever, and a mist that glows blue against reason. Pennsylvania might look ordinary on the map, but it's secretly one of the most mysterious places on Earth, where science can't explain everything, and the weird still walks side by side with the normal. In the next episode, we're diving deeper. Abandoned factories where voices echo, a farmhouse tied to real-life witchcraft, one of the eeriest prisons ever built, and forests where lights float with no source. So hit that like button if you're into strange stories that make science sweat, and make sure you're subscribed, because part 2 is about to get even stranger, as we encroach deeper into the unknown. If you watched from the beginning, you already know Pennsylvania hides more mysteries than a whole season of X-Files. We've heard rocks sing and cars roll uphill, met ghosts of roads and towns that won't stop burning, but trust me, we're just warming up. Now we're stepping into the forests, the ruins, and the human stories where things get personal. Let's go. Number 6 is the Dead Man's Hollow, where nature whispers through ruins. Picture this. You're hiking along the Youghiogheny River southeast of Pittsburgh. Birds chirp, water slides over rocks, sunlight flickers through tall trees, and then the path opens to crumbling brick walls swallowed by vines. You've found Dead Man's Hollow. Yeah, the name alone sets a tone. But this place is real. 450 acres of forest reclaiming an abandoned industrial site. In the 1800s, it buzzed with sawmills and a pipe factory. Then came accidents, fires, a drowning or two, and the work died out. Locals started telling stories. Strange lights at night, hammering sounds when no one's around, whispers along the river. Hikers still claim to hear machinery echoing through the trees. Science says, echoacoustics, wind, water, and rusted metal. Plausible. But it doesn't feel like that when you're there. You stand inside a roofless building where moss hangs like curtains and sunlight paints patterns on the floor. It's beautiful and unsettling. It feels like nature's version of an archaeology mystery, a reminder that progress rusts fast, but mystery sticks around. If you ever hike it, go early morning. The fog still clings to the valley, and every drip from a leaf sounds like footsteps. You'll swear the forest is alive, and maybe it is. No. 7 is the Hex House, murder, magic, and fear in York County. Now we head south to farmland, where rolling hills hide one of the strangest true crime stories in Pennsylvania, the Hex House. The story starts in 1928 with Nelson Riemeyer, a quiet farmer who practiced powwow, a mix of old German healing charms and prayers. Some called him a folk doctor. Others whispered the word witch. One winter night, 2 men broke into his farmhouse. They thought Nelson had hexed them and believed the only way to break the curse was to destroy his spellbook, the long-lost friend, and a lock of his hair. They beat him, strangled him, and set the body on fire. The flames burned the legend into state history. Reporters called it the York County Hex Murder. The trial filled newspapers from New York to Chicago, because this wasn't some medieval superstition. This was 1928 America. Cars, radios, electricity, and people were still killing over curses. The killers went to prison, the farmhouse still stands, and the area still carries that chill. Visitors say they feel a heavy pressure inside, or sudden cold spots even on summer days. Scientists can explain temperature drops, air drafts, old stone, humidity. But science can't explain why even hardened skeptics walk out shaken. Maybe it's empathy. Maybe it's guilt baked into the walls. The Hex House is a psychological mirror, part true crime, part folklore, part warning about how fear of the unknown can twist into real violence. It's a piece of the mysteries of the world that has nothing to do with ghosts and everything to do with us. Number 8 is the Eastern State Penitentiary, the prison of silence. All right, buckle in. We're heading to Philadelphia, to a stone fortress that looks straight out of Gotham City. Massive gray towers, narrow corridors, a single iron gate. This is Eastern State Penitentiary, and if walls could talk, these would scream. When it opened in 1829, it was considered humane, even enlightened. Inmates were kept alone to reflect on their crimes. Solitary confinement as spiritual therapy. Each had a small cell, a skylight, eye of God, and total silence. It didn't work out. Instead of finding redemption, people lost their minds. Guards started hearing cries echo down the halls at night, from prisoners who'd already gone mute days before. Fast forward almost 200 years, the prison's empty, its paint peeling, its echo endless. Tourists walk through with audio headsets, but halfway down the cell block door, they pull the earphones out because they hear footsteps that aren't on the recording. Ghost? Draft? Echo? Scientists blame the acoustics. Narrow tunnels, curved ceilings that bounce sound like a whispering gallery. Makes sense, until you record it and realize the footsteps don't match yours. Even hardened debunkers admit this place feels heavy. It's like the stones absorbed every thought, every prayer, every scream. The whole layout, spokes of cell blocks radiating from a central tower, was designed for order. Instead, it creates disorientation. Stand in the center and sound travels in weird circles. So maybe that's the secret. Architecture accidentally built a haunting machine, a mysterious structure by design, now a tourist site where science and superstition share a hallway. Number 9 is the Ghost Lights of Northern Pines. Now we're leaving the city lights behind and heading north, where endless pine forests blanket the mountains. Out here, campers tell stories of lights, floating spheres glowing between the trunks. They drift silently, sometimes blue, sometimes white, sometimes the color of candle flame. The first reports go back more than 100 years. Some call them spook lights, others spirit lanterns. Hikers try to chase them, but they vanish the moment you get close. Okay, scientist time. Some say swamp gas, methane from decaying plants igniting spontaneously. Others say distant car headlights refracting through fog. Both are possible, but the sightings happen miles from any road, and the air samples show no methane strong enough to burn. A newer theory points to quartz under the ground. When stress builds up in those rocks, it can release electrical charges that ionize the air, little pockets of glowing plasma like tiny ball lightning. That could explain the color shifts and the hovering motion. Still, nobody's captured it under controlled conditions. So the mystery stands. Campers swear the lights respond. Move when you move, stop when you stop. Folklore adds heart to it. Miners' souls searching for home, or ancestors guiding travelers. Whatever they are, they're beautiful. They turn the forest into a natural light show that no phone camera ever quite gets right. Next time you're out there and you see a dim glow drifting through the mist, maybe don't run, just watch. You might be looking at a mystery found, one that science hasn't yet caught. Number 10 is the town that wasn't there because Pennsylvania keeps giving. Locals in Perry County talk about Sidling Hill, a place where travelers in the 1930s claimed to see an entire phantom town appear at dusk. Rows of houses, a church, even smoke rising from chimneys. And then, moments later, gone. No records of a settlement ever existing there. Skeptics say it was fog playing tricks, maybe light from another valley refracting through temperature layers. That's scientifically possible. It's called a Fata Morgana mirage. But those usually happen over water, not forest. Whatever people saw, it faded into folklore. Another reminder that sometimes the landscape itself projects memories, like film left too long in the sun. The line between science and story. This, friends, takes us deeper into Pennsylvania's haunted geography. We've moved from natural oddities into human darkness, from rocks and rivers into prisons and beliefs. Each one proves something simple but powerful. Mystery doesn't disappear when we explain part of it. It just changes shape. The Hex House shows how fear can turn deadly. Eastern State shows how design can create ghosts without meaning to. Dead Man's Hollow proves nature can recycle mystery better than any ghostwriter. And those ghost lights? They remind us curiosity is still burning bright. Heading into abandoned mines, forgotten tunnels, and the underground fires that connect Pennsylvania's past and future. So grab your flashlight, hit that subscribe, and keep your sense of wonder tuned up, because we're not done with the strange just yet. Witnesses also saw underground fires, vanished towns, and the edges of reason. So far we've climbed hills that defy gravity, walked roads that fear the dark, and stood inside a prison that whispers back. Now it's time to go underground, into mines, tunnels, and abandoned places where even the bravest GPS signal gets nervous. These next stories take us beneath the surface, literally and metaphorically, to the border where science, history, and legend blend together. Ready? Let's dive in. Witnesses also saw the lost mines of Shepton, 3 men, 1 miracle. Imagine a mining town in 1963, Shepton, Pennsylvania. 3 coal miners, Henry Throne, David Felon, and Louis Bova, go down for a normal shift. The tunnel collapses. Tons of rock trap them nearly 300 feet underground. For 2 weeks, the world watched rescue teams drill day and night. Throne and Felon somehow survived in a tiny pocket of air. Bova vanished. But that's not the weird part. When the survivors were pulled out, they told rescuers they hadn't been alone. They swore they'd seen figures of light, glowing men who stood silently in the dark and gave them hope. They even said those figures handed them food and water that later disappeared. The Vatican heard about it. Psychologists studied it. Was it hallucination from carbon monoxide, or something no science could label? The mine was sealed, Bova's body never found. People still say the Shepton spirits guard miners there. Whether you believe or not, this story digs deep into the mysteries of the world. How the mind, fear, and maybe something else merge when you're inches from death. Also, the tunnels of Jim Thorpe, echoes under the Lehigh. Jim Thorpe, a postcard-perfect mountain town, but under its cobblestone streets lie tunnels carved during the coal boom. Tour guides say you can still hear the clatter of carts long gone. The strangest part? At certain spots in the tunnels, sound bends, whisper at one end, and a person 100 feet away hears it clear as day, while someone standing next to you hears nothing. Acoustics engineers mapped the curves and found odd standing wave pockets caused by parallel stone walls. Science explains the effect, but not the eerie timing of it. Locals joke the tunnels are built like a saxophone, turning footsteps into ghost notes. Every October, ghost walk groups go down there with lanterns. Sometimes they hear singing, old miner chants, rhythmic, too slow for echoes. No recordings ever capture it. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe those tunnels remember the rhythm of the pickaxes that once filled them. Witnesses also saw abandoned places. The Frick's Lock. Village just off the Schuylkill River sits Frick's Lock Village, a real-life time capsule. When the canal closed and later a nuclear plant bought the land, everyone moved out. The houses, stone cottages from the 1700s, were simply locked and left. For decades, the place stood untouched. Curtains still hanging, plates still stacked. Urban explorers call it a paradise of mystery. You walk its empty lanes and it feels like the people just stepped out for lunch. Only nature moved in instead, and crows perch on chimney tops. Wind rattles a door that hasn't opened in 50 years. Some say they've seen candlelight through the windows. Others record cold spots and static spikes. The rational answer? Air pressure shifts, metal expansion, maybe even radio interference from the nearby power plant. Still, Frick's Lock sits on almost every list of the most mysterious abandoned places in the state. Proof that sometimes doing nothing, just leaving things frozen in time, creates the strangest museum of all. Also, the vanished village of Kuhns. Swallowed by Waterhead, north toward Clinton County, and you'll find a reservoir surrounded by forested hills. Under that water lies the ghost of Kunes, a 19th century village flooded to make way for the dam. Fishermen say that on windless days they see rooftops just below the surface, like reflections that don't move. Sonar scans show outlines of buildings but distorted, as if the bottom shifts. Geologists confirm sediments there act like quicksand. Sonar pulses bounce unpredictably. Yet stories keep coming. Divers who claim they felt doors in the dark, church bells that ring beneath the lake on stormy nights. No recording ever proves it, but those who hear it never forget. Science can explain sound conduction underwater, sure. But can it explain the human need to believe towns remember themselves? Maybe that's the archaeology mystery here. Memory made of mud and current. Also, the Pine Creek Gorge, the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. After all those shadows, we need fresh air. Pine Creek Gorge looks peaceful, 3,000 feet wide, carved by glaciers and time. But locals whisper that sometimes, at dawn, the canyon sings. They call it the wind organ. Low, haunting tones drift through the valley like a cello underwater. Meteorologists think it's air passing over cave mouths at just the right humidity. Others claim it's something older, the voice of the gorge itself. Hikers have recorded the hum, but no one has pinned down the source. Whether it's natural resonance or nature showing off, Pine Creek Gorge joins our list of most mysterious places science can't fully explain. It proves not every ghost has to be human. Some are carved from stone and sound. Witnesses also saw Pennhurst State School. Echoes of forgotten voices. Now we get heavy again. Outside Spring City stands Pennhurst State School, once a massive institution for people with disabilities. It opened with good intentions in 1908 and fell into horror. By the 1960s, thousands lived here in overcrowded wards. Neglect, abuse, isolation, all documented. When it finally closed in 1987, journalists walked in and found beds unmade, files scattered, toys left mid-play. And since then, every paranormal team in the country has been through. You don't need ghosts to feel haunted here. The air itself carries sorrow. Recordings pick up whispers that sound like children. Maybe it's wind through pipes, maybe not. Architecturally, it's fascinating. Tunnels linking buildings, steam lines running underfoot, perfect for sound tricks. Engineers say resonance in those tunnels can mimic speech frequencies. Still, once you've stood there in the dark and heard what sounds like someone humming "You Are My Sunshine," science feels very small. Pennhurst is a reminder. Some mysteries of the world exist because we can't measure emotion. We can only feel it. The Raystown Ray, Pennsylvania's lake monster. Yep, you heard that right. Pennsylvania has its own version of Nessie, and locals call it Raystown Ray. Raystown Lake in Huntingdon County is a man-made reservoir, 8,000 acres wide. Since the 1960s, people have reported huge ripples, shadows under boats, and once, a head the size of a barrel surfacing before vanishing. Biologists say the lake's full of big catfish and sturgeon, some 6 feet long, so giant shapes aren't impossible. But video footage shows movement that doesn't match known fish. Whether it's misided logs, playful hoax, or genuine mystery, Raystown Ray is a reminder that even a man-made lake can birth folklore overnight. Every state needs its monster. Pennsylvania just gave hers a nickname. The Black Cross of Loretto time for a legend with faith and fear mixed together. In Cambria County stands a tall iron cross said to have turned black overnight after being struck by lightning, yet never rusting away. Locals treat it like a miracle. Chemists who analyzed the surface found magnetite. Oxidized iron turned jet black from the strike. Science explains the color but not the endurance. 2 centuries of snow and acid rain, and the metal still gleams dark and solid. Maybe it's divine, maybe just really good metallurgy. Either way, the cross has become a pilgrimage site, half shrine, half science exhibit. Proof that explanation doesn't kill wonder, it often deepens it. The Crying Tunnel of Mount Union, near Mount Union. There's a short rail tunnel carved through limestone. Locals call it the Crying Tunnel because anyone who walks through at midnight hears sobbing echo off the walls. Historians say a young woman died there in a fire. Others claim a mother lost her child. No records verify either story. But the cries? People swear they've heard them, even when trains still ran overhead. Geologists note the rock's weird acoustics. Water dripping down narrow grooves creates overlapping frequencies that mimic a human voice. That's the rational bit. Still, visitors record audio, slow it down, and find patterns. Whispers, forming words like, "Help me." Coincidence? Maybe. But the Crying Tunnel keeps attracting brave TikTokers and paranormal fans. Everyone leaves with goosebumps and one shared thought: some sounds are better left unanswered. The mystery of Green Man's Tunnel. One more tunnel, one more legend. This time outside Pittsburgh. It's officially called Piney Fork Tunnel, but locals renamed it Green Man's Tunnel after a figure said to glow with green light. The story began with a real man, Raymond Robinson, who suffered electrical burns as a child and walked at night to avoid stairs. Kids glimpsed him in the 1930s, and their stories twisted into myth, a glowing creature haunting the tunnel. Decades later, drivers claimed to see light still moving there, long after Robinson's death. Electrical engineers investigated and found stray current from old power lines arcing across damp stone, literally making the walls flash green. So yes, there's your science. But the legend outlived the wiring. People still drive through, turn off headlights, and wait to see the glow. Whether it's current or curiosity, it proves folklore never dies. It just finds new outlets, pun intended. We've gone underground, underwater, and under the skin of Pennsylvania's strangest places. A mine that birthed glowing guardians. Tunnels that sing back. Villages left intact for ghosts and ivy. A canyon that hums like a living organ. An institution echoing with regret. A lake monster, a blackened cross, and two tunnels that won't stay silent. If there's a theme here, it's this. Mystery doesn't always hide. Sometimes it's just waiting for someone to listen. In our final part, we'll connect the dots. The science, the superstition, and the reason Pennsylvania might be America's most mysterious state. We'll revisit every site, draw out the lessons they teach, and leave you with a challenge that'll change the way you see the ordinary world around you. So stay tuned, keep your flashlight handy, and remember, you don't have to travel far to find the unexplained. Sometimes, it's right under your feet. The truth beneath the mystery. Welcome back, mystery hunters. You've made it through the ghost lights, the tunnels, the prisons, the fires, the fogs. If Pennsylvania were a movie, this would be the final act, where everything connects. So settle in. We're about to tie every weird thread together and answer one big question. Why does one state hold so many mysterious places scientists still can't explain? Spoiler, the answer isn't just in the land. It's in the people who keep asking questions. Why Pennsylvania? Let's start with geography. Pennsylvania is ancient, literally. The rocks here date back more than 500 million years. Volcanoes, glaciers, rivers, and tectonic shifts carved layer after layer of terrain. When you have that much geologic chaos, you get surprises. Minerals that sing, slopes that trick the eyes, gases that glow in the dark. Then came the humans. Indigenous tribes, European settlers, coal miners, inventors, immigrants. Each left a fingerprint of belief and superstition. Mix science, history, and culture long enough, and you get the perfect recipe for mystery. That's Pennsylvania in a nutshell. The lab and the legend living side by side. These are patterns in the weird. Let's look back at everything we've seen. Ringing rocks. Sound. Gravity Hill. Vision. Devil's Road. Fear. Centralia. Fire. Blue Mist Road, light. Dead Man's Hollow, echo. Hex House, belief. Eastern State Penitentiary, isolation. Ghost lights, energy. Shepton Mine, hope. Each one messes with a different human sense or emotion. It's like the state itself runs an experiment in perception, testing what happens when nature, science, and imagination overlap. Maybe that's why scientists still can't explain everything here, because part of the phenomenon lives inside us. We create half the mystery by trying to understand it. When science meets wonder, here's something most documentaries won't admit. You can explain 90% of the weird, and the remaining 10% will still feel magical. Take ringing rocks. We know it's diabase under tension, yet the sound still feels alive. Take Gravity Hill. We understand optical illusions, but your brain still panics when your car rolls up. Take Centralia. We can calculate combustion, but not the emotion of watching a town vanish into smoke. Science and mystery aren't enemies, they're dance partners. One leads, the other improvises. Pennsylvania just happens to have a bigger dance floor. Hauku. The Living Lab. If you talk to geologists, they'll tell you Pennsylvania is one giant textbook. If you talk to locals, they'll tell you it's haunted. Both are right. The same coal seams that fueled the Industrial Revolution now smolder beneath Centralia. The same quartz veins that built skyscrapers might spark those ghost lights in the pines. The same rivers that powered mills now whisper through Dead Man's Hollow. Everything connects. Energy never disappears. It just changes form. Maybe that's why strange things keep happening here, because nothing here ever really stops moving. Mystery as heritage. Another secret. Pennsylvania likes being mysterious. Tourists come for history, but they stay for the stories. Locals guard their legends like family recipes. Ask around Bucks County. Someone will swear the rocks ring louder after a thunderstorm. In Bedford County, a kid will tell you his car rolled uphill even after he turned off the ignition. In Chadds Ford, old-timers still warn newcomers not to drive Devil's Road after midnight. These tales pass down generations. They're part cautionary, part celebration. A cultural treasure chest of strange. And honestly, we need that. Because in a world mapped by satellites and explained by Google, mystery is the last bit of freedom we have left. Lessons from the darkness. Every mysterious place teaches something. Let's recap, but this time, not just what happens there, but what it tells us. Ringing Rocks Park. The universe hides music in places you'd least expect. Everything, even stone, can sing if struck the right way. Gravity Hill. Your eyes can lie, your senses can trick you, and humility is healthy. Devil's Road. Fear spreads faster than fact, but facing it turns rumor into experience. Centralia. Human mistakes can burn longer than we ever imagine. Blue Mist Road. Beauty and eeriness often share the same fog. Dead Man's Hollow. Nature always reclaims what we abandon, and forgives us more gracefully than we deserve. Hex House. Superstition can kill, understanding can heal. Eastern State Penitentiary. Isolation is its own kind of prison. Ghost lights. Curiosity is the flame that never dies. Shepton Mine. Even in darkness, humans invent light. That's not just a travel list, it's a philosophy syllabus written by the state itself. The science of belief. Psychologists call it apophenia, our instinct to find patterns in randomness. It's the reason we see faces in clouds or hear our names in white noise. Without it, early humans might never have discovered cause and effect. With it, we sometimes invent ghosts. So when people see a glowing orb in the forest or hear voices in a prison hallway, the brain lights up the same way it does for genuine discovery. It rewards us for curiosity. That chemical rush, dopamine, and wonder, is addictive. That's why mysteries survive. Not because science fails, but because wonder feels good. The ethics of mystery. Quick pause for something serious. A lot of these sites are old, fragile, or sacred. If you ever visit them, don't vandalize, don't trespass, don't play ghost hunter where you're not wanted. Real people still live near these places. Their stories matter as much as the legends. Mystery is fun only if we treat it with respect, because sometimes the line between curiosity and exploitation is thinner than the fog on Blue Mist Road. What we still don't know. Even after all the documentaries, research papers, and YouTube deep dives, some puzzles remain. Why do only certain rocks in Ringing Rocks chime? Why does Centralia's fire still find fuel after 60 years? What exactly creates those glowing forest orbs when conditions seem normal? Why do certain tunnels amplify sound in ways modern architecture can't reproduce? These are the questions scientists and storytellers keep chasing, and maybe they always will, because mystery is a renewable resource. The gift of the unknown. Let's get philosophical for a second. When was the last time you didn't know something and felt excited about it? That's the power of mystery. It reminds us the world still has corners that aren't on any map. Pennsylvania just happens to hold more of those corners than most. It's not the only mysterious state, but it might be the one that wears its strangeness proudly. From glowing mist to ringing stone, it whispers the same message. You don't have to leave Earth to find the unknown. Just pay attention. Voices from the field. To end this story, let's hear a few snippets from people who've stood in these places. I hit the rock and it sounded like a church bell. I laughed, then I cried. Don't know why. Tourist at Ringing Rocks. We parked on the hill, turned off the car, and it moved. My wife screamed. I just laughed. Still no clue how it works. Visitor, Gravity Hill. The mist was blue, man, like movie blue. I thought my headlights were broken. Night driver, Irwin Road. When you walk inside Eastern State, it feels like time's holding its breath. Volunteer guide. Sometimes science says illusion. Sometimes illusion feels real. Either way, it's beautiful. Local professor, Bucks County. Different people, same awe. Pennsylvania. The teacher. Every mysterious place is a classroom. Ringing Rocks teaches physics. Gravity Hill teaches perception. Devil's Road teaches courage. Centralia teaches humility. Blue Mist. Road teaches calm. Dead Man's Hollow teaches memory. Hex House teaches empathy. Eastern State teaches reflection. Ghost Lights teach curiosity. Shepton teaches faith. Put them together and Pennsylvania becomes a school of wonder. No tuition, no exams, just lessons in how to stay amazed. D. The human element. Let's be real. Without people, none of these stories would exist. It's our reactions that make them live. The gasp when the rock rings, the laughter when the car rolls, the chill when fog turns blue, the silence when a prison cell creaks behind you. We create meaning every time we tell these tales. That's the real ancient found artifact here, our capacity to turn confusion into story. What comes next? So where do we go from here? Maybe you plan a road trip. Maybe you just look differently at your own neighborhood. Either way, take this with you. Mystery doesn't require travel, it requires attention. The next shadow across your wall, the next weird sound in your pipes, the next coincidence that feels too perfect, those are your local Ringing Rocks. You don't need scientists to confirm them, you just need curiosity. Why we need mystery. If everything were explained, life would be math. Predictable, perfect, boring. Mystery gives us wonder, and wonder gives us meaning. It's what drives explorers, inventors, artists, believers. It's why we keep digging mines, building telescopes, and, yeah, making videos like this. So the next time someone tells you science has killed magic, show them Pennsylvania. Because here, science creates magic. Every explanation leads to a better question, and that's what keeps humanity alive. Mystery isn't the opposite of knowledge. It's the heartbeat of it. So there you have it. 10 places, countless questions, and one big idea. The world is still wonderfully, stubbornly weird. If you ever find yourself in Pennsylvania, take a detour, hit a rock, roll down that hill, drive through the fog, walk through a prison cell block or a silent hollow, listen, feel, wonder. Because each of those spots is waiting to remind you of something simple, that curiosity is free and mystery is endless. And if anyone ever asks, "Hey, do you believe in ghosts?" just smile and say, "I believe in unanswered questions." That's the truth that links us, scientists, storytellers, and dreamers alike. So stay curious, stay kind, and keep exploring, because the moment you stop wondering, the world stops ringing. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Pennsylvania's strangest sights, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves the unexplained, and drop your favorite mystery found in the comments below. Where should we go next? Maybe West Virginia's abandoned theme park, or the underwater ghost towns of New York. Until then, thanks for watching, keep your eyes open, and remember, the most mysterious places on Earth are usually closer than you think.